You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 197. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where we talk about what really happens when you take a break from drinking. And it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. I'm Anna, coach to high achievers who are done waking up with regret and ready to feel in control around alcohol. If you've ever wondered what your life could look like with less wine and more you, you're in the right place. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad you are here and I hope your week is going well. I received such a wonderful email yesterday from somebody who has been following for a while and who bought my book and who is implementing the steps in my book, The Off Switch. And she says it's working, and she was so delighted and so grateful to me for putting the book in the world. And I, in turn, am very grateful to her for her email, and she can be grateful to herself for being willing to put in the work. So that is gratitude 3 ways. And if you haven't got your hands on my book, The Off Switch, you're going to want to do it. It is short and sweet. I wrote it in a way that you can just follow the steps, and then you follow the steps, and then you repeat them, and you repeat them, and you repeat them, right? I break it down. This is very simple. It is not always easy, but it is very simple if you want to create a new and healthier relationship with alcohol. All right, enough of the intro. Today we are diving into a question that comes up fairly frequently. It's one that I do ask a lot of my clients, and it is as follows. When you crave a drink, are you craving the drink itself, or are you craving the comfort you believe it will bring? Now, this sounds like semantics, but it isn't. The distinction is huge, especially if you've ever poured a glass of wine to help you fall asleep, to maybe dull an ache in your body, or maybe just kind of take the edge off a little bit. If your body just isn't cooperating, maybe you've got a few aches and pains, or, you're not a spring chicken anymore. That's why I do say that to myself, right? If we're not a young spring chicken anymore and things are just feeling a bit tougher with the body, and we just think, if we have a drink, it'll kind of loosen it up, make it not quite such a big deal, right? And this is for you. Now, the distinction that I've talked about there in terms of comfort from the drink or comfort of what you're seeking is huge, because it is actually often, truly, not the alcohol that you want. I mean, truly, when I ask people, what is it you want? And they say it is the comfort. And absolutely, I just want to feel better. I want to feel safe. I want to feel warm. I just don't want to ache so much. I want this pain to go away. I want to be able to sleep. And I want to offer that when you see that is an excellent new starting point. That is the point at which everything can change if you're willing to view it in those terms. So let's get really sort of real here. What do I really mean when we're seeking comfort, when our body's not cooperating? I want to give you some real examples. Let's say maybe, and I hear this one, by the way, a lot in my clients, and I see it a lot on message boards too, where people seeking advice. Let's say it's 10 p.m., right? The evening's winding down, but you're looking ahead and you're worrying that you're not going to sleep. You're exhausted, but you're kind of wired, and then that thought creeps in, if I don't get some rest, then tomorrow's going to be a nightmare. And then you get that whisper, well, a drink would knock you out. A drink would do the trick, right? And maybe you've been using this repeated pattern for so long that this is how you believe that you do go to sleep. Or perhaps, let's fast forward a few hours. It's the middle of the night. Maybe it's 2 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling and your mind is racing. And again, maybe the thought shows up, well, a drink would fix this. Maybe this is ordinarily not the time you'd have a drink, right? You're in bed. A lot of my clients do not drink after that. But maybe you're kind of feeling a bit desperate. Oh, I just need, I've got all the things. I've got to sleep. I have got to sleep. And you know that the wine maybe knocks you out, or maybe something even a little stronger. You might have that thought. Perhaps you're dealing with chronic pain. Perhaps you're injured. You've suffered an injury. Or maybe it's just the dull aches, right, of getting older. And you are frustrated with this. It feels that every day you have this kind of aching, or your body just isn't doing what you want it to do. And a drink, perhaps, in those scenarios, feels like the fastest way to dull it, right? We talk a lot about numbing our thoughts and sort of numbing the emotions and numbing. But here I think it's more about, I just want to wind the ache down. Let me just dull it a little bit. It's not even numbing. It's kind of just make it more of just put it to the background. Or maybe you're in the middle of some hot flushes, menopause, right? This happens. It really just does happen. Or you've got night sweats. You just want anything to take the edge off. You just got to get through this. Even when you know that alcohol is not the thing that's going to solve it, you might still have the thought, just this one time. All right, I just want to feel a bit better. Now, listen, I'll be honest with you. I have been there myself. I remember nights where I'd lie in bed staring at the clock, getting more anxious with every minute that passed. Right? Now, the worst part wasn't just being awake. It really was that voice in my head saying, look, you've got all this stuff to do tomorrow. You know what you get like when you're tired. You've got to be on your A game. Right? And that fear just made me keep awake. I was tending to have quite a lot so we're gonna sleep tonight then. So maybe I had a bad night's sleep, and then we get to the next night. So, well, maybe a drink would help to knock you out because you didn't sleep that well last night. Let's do it tonight. And it wasn't anything to do with the alcohol. It wasn't that I wanted the wine at all. I mean, actually, I really didn't. I didn't used to like drinking later in the evening. So when I was having those thoughts, it was purely because I wanted relief. I wanted comfort. It was like a bit like an insurance policy that I'm going to sleep tonight. Right? And in seeking that, what I wanted was to not worry. I wanted to stop the worry. I wanted to stop the lying awake. And this is where what makes these cravings so powerful. They truly are rarely about the drink itself. They're all about what we think the drink will give us. So here's the trap. Your brain has simply learned to associate alcohol with relief. And then over time, it wires in that belief that this is the only thing that helps, or maybe even this is the main thing that helps. And this is what makes it so hard to say no, not because you're weak or useless or pathetic or any of that stuff, but because your brain has been trained to see alcohol as the only exit door, right? If you want to get out of this scenario, you want to get out of how you're feeling, you want to get out of feeling so maybe, I'm fed up of my body, though alcohol is the exit door. But here, my friends, is the reality. Alcohol does not reduce pain. It blunts your senses, right? It just pretends to. Alcohol does not help you rest. In fact, it disrupts your sleep cycle. If you go back a few episodes, I actually spoke to Renee Roberts, a sleep expert on this. I brought her onto the podcast to talk about alcohol and sleep. So check that one out if you are really sort of stuck in this story of alcohol helping you to sleep. And then finally, alcohol does not balance hormones or calm your flushes, right? In fact, it only makes them worse, right? So yes, in the moment, you might think that alcohol might bring you short-term comfort, and you might say, Anna, it really does. I don't just think it does, it really does. Okay, but I want you to think long-term. Long-term, it's going to make everything that little bit harder, right? On your body, on your ability to sleep, on your energy, and even on your confidence. Because if we're outsourcing responsibility to the alcohol to get us to sleep, think about how you think about your own ability to sleep. Right, here's something that can help. The next time you catch yourself thinking something like, a drink will fix this, For sure, a drink will fix this. I want you to imagine, and particularly, let's heighten this a little bit. Let's make this when a drink will help fix this when, you've got something bad, you've got some physical pain going on. I want you to imagine you are walking into the doctor's office, right? You're going in because you want to seek relief from what's going on. You want to know what's going on with your body and you want relief from the pain. Would your doctor sit you down, turn to a fridge, to a wine fridge, let's make this better, in his surgery and hand you half a bottle of wine? Or would he turn and get a shot glass out and pour out a shot of vodka for you? Of course they wouldn't. Now, I really want you to think that you are going to the expert for advice. Is that what they would give you? No. So do not let yourself get drawn into what is only your lizard brain story that a shot or a glass is what you need, even if it's what you've been doing up until now, right? Because you truly know that this is not the solution. So if we're going to take the alcohol out of the picture as the fix for this scenario, what do we do? Well, I want you to consider reframing pain versus suffering. This is one of the most powerful skills you can build, is really learning to separate pain from suffering. It's kind of like we're sorting through. We're trying to put pain in one bucket, suffering in the other. What's causing it? Pain is the physical sensation. It is the aching back, the exhaustion of a sleepless night, the hot flush that comes out of nowhere, right? That's the pain. Suffering is the layer on top. Suffering is the optional piece. It is the worry that you're never going to feel better. It is the anger that your body isn't cooperating. It is the despair that tomorrow will be ruined if you don't fix this now. You cannot always eliminate the pain, but you can turn down the volume on the suffering. In fact, you can eliminate the suffering. The suffering is purely optional. And listen, when you do that, when you just really decide, whatever the pain, I'm going to eliminate the suffering, the craving for comfort becomes far less overwhelming. I mean, immediately it will become far less overwhelming. And then over time, it just reduces and diminishes. So I want to give you some practical, actionable advice. You know me, I like to give homework. Well, you can view this as homework or top tips. I'm watching this Wheeler Dealers program with my husband. Oh my gosh, all the classic car things. We have to watch classic cars all the time. He's doing his car. Anyway, I digress. Top tips or practical tools. Firstly, I want you just to name it out loud, what you're dealing with. You could say something like, this hurts. My leg hurts. My leg is in pain, or my chest is in pain, or whatever. But nothing has gone wrong, right? It truly hasn't. And especially if maybe you've had an injury, we can see that. Or maybe you're just getting a little older, right? We understand these things logically. So this hurts, but nothing has gone wrong. That simple phrase can signal safety to your nervous system and to your brain. Your brain listens, and it's going to ease the urgency to escape, even by a little notch. I just want you to think, if by a teeny notch, right, it eases that urgency to escape. Second, I want you to experiment with comfort. And by the way, as I use the word experiment, I am running the Freedom Lab in October. This is kind of like a whole new way of seeing Sober October. So whether you want to go dry for the month or you just really want to experiment with different ways of drinking less so you can build a solid foundation, you're going to want to join the Freedom Lab. So keep an eye out in my world for when I've got links for this. If you don't want to miss the link for the early sign up, just send me an email, anna@90dayslater.co, and I will put you on the list. Anyway, so I digress. Experiment with comfort. Instead of assuming that alcohol is the only option, I just want you to ask yourself what else might work. All right? We could swap that immediate action with a different action. Things like Journaling through the craving. And for those of you who kind of roll your eyes at the idea of journaling, just grab a pen and a piece of paper. And as you're having a craving, I just want you to do a stream of consciousness. Just write what's going on, right? And then we can see what's happening. Maybe a cup of tea. I know a lot of people do the herbal teas. I like peppermint tea or just a regular cup of tea. Just gonna have a cup of tea. I can feel I've got the craving and nothing's gone wrong. I'm just going to sit here with this. I can see I don't feel so good. Maybe you could do some kind of, some people like to do guided meditations. I actually have a couple of audios as well. So if you want those, I'm very happy to share those. So send me an email and I'll send them out to you. Right? I just want you to start taking small little experiments with your brain that say there are other ways to find comfort. Having a bath is a huge one for many of my clients. And I've been worked with clients who've been amazed at how something as small as just maybe a 5-minute body scan before they go to bed, right? If we're worried about sleep, we're just going to check in with our body, check in. How's everything functioning? That can take the edge off in the same way they thought only wine could. Now, this is really starting to challenge ourselves when we know we want to go to comfort. How else could we achieve that? And then I want you to listen to your body's cues. Now, so many of us, we override them. We push through exhaustion. We ignore the aches. We stay on autopilot. Instead, try honoring them. Honest to God, this can be an absolute game changer. A true game changer. I want you to rest when you're tired. Go figure. I want you to rest when you're tired. I want you to stretch when you feel like stretching. You've got an ache and maybe just standing up and stretching for 30 seconds would help. I want you to put your phone down and get into bed earlier. I want you to think back to when sleep didn't used to be such an issue. What did you used to do, right, before the advent of alcohol and phones? Maybe you used to read a good book. Maybe you had a cup of milk. I still have a cup of milk. I still have my Dennis Wheatley book. I like to read, proper books. And I say proper books. I do like to read books on phones, but at night I read books on paper because I know about the blue light thing, right? These micro choices, they all add up to real comfort, right? The kind that supports healing instead of stealing from it. And can you see that so much of this is not about just don't drink the alcohol? It's like, how else could you get that comfort instead? And here's what I want you to hear. I truly want you to hear this because I work with so many super brilliant high achievers who are just, they're on the ball and they're really doing life. You are not weak for craving comfort, right? Your body is asking for care. Your body is asking to be looked after. The drink is just one way you've taught your brain to provide that care, but it's a shortcut that doesn't actually solve the problem. It kind of just papers over it. To think about when you've got the wallpaper and you want to put new stuff down, you've got to scrape the old stuff off for the new stuff to really be a nice clean stick there. The real win here is discovering that you can comfort yourself in ways that actually help your body instead of depleting it. And every time you experiment with a new way, with a new tool, with a new idea, right? You're teaching your brain a new pattern. And this is a neuroplasticity, right? We're always teaching our brains new things. This is not about getting it perfect day after day, night after night. It's about building a foundation, one experiment over at a time, right? Until comfort doesn't automatically equal alcohol in your brain, right? That's the new equation we're getting to. Now, listen, if you've been listening today and thinking, yes, this is me, I am stuck in that loop of craving relief, not really the drink itself, I want you to know you do not have to figure this out alone. This is the exact work I do with my clients in my one-on-one coaching program. Together, we build the cycle, we build the skills, and we create that kind of confidence that makes alcohol small and unimportant in your life. If you want that life, start today. Book a free discovery call with me. You can go to my website, 90dayslater.co, and click on the book a call button, or there is a link in the show notes. I would love to talk with you about what's possible for you. And before we wrap up, something new is brewing in the lab. I alluded to it earlier. If you have been curious about what life could look like with less alcohol, and you're thinking Sober October's coming up, I'm going to have to do Sober October again, I really don't want to, I am launching the Freedom Lab. This is going to be playful, right? This is all my approach. It's a playful, science-backed program, a little of a month's program to help you experiment your way to find a life that you love that has less alcohol in it, whether you want to go dry the whole month, or you just want to cut back, or you just want to see what's possible, right? So stay tuned for the details. If you don't want to miss out on that, again, you can email me, anna@90dayslater.co, and just say, add me to the Freedom Lab list, Anna, when you send that out. Otherwise, stay tuned. All right. And I will see you next week. If this episode hit home and you're ready to explore what life could look like with alcohol in the back seat, let's talk. I work with people one-on-one who are ready to create the relationship with alcohol that works for them, so they feel powerful in their choices and at peace with their habits. Go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or grab one of the free guides in the show notes to this episode. And if this podcast is helping you, a rating or review goes a long way to help others find this work too.